Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of ASAP Sports Minute with Jaymac and Ace. I am Ace, and I am joined today by Jaymac. How's it going, Jaymac?
Oh, can't complain. It's going pretty well.
All right, well, before we get started, I would like everybody to know that today's show is being brought to you in part by Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. All products are lead and nickel free. All products are $5. Special offer for ASAP sports viewers, free matching earrings when you buy a necklace. Order now at paparazziaccessories.com 160920.
I just want to comment on that real quick, by the way. Make sure you support that because they're supporting us, and it's been great for both of us. It's gotten us places and it's gotten her places as well. So make sure you're helping her out because that's helping us out. And we definitely appreciate all of it.
All right, so tonight the first thing we're going to talk about, and yes, I know I am here to eat that humble pie that we had already been talking about. Yes, I'm here to eat that humble pie because we're going to be talking about the NHL. And as everybody knows, okay,
there's your humble pie.
There's the humble pie. Thank you. I will eat crow. I will eat crow. I had the Stars winning in 7. J-Mac had the Lightning winning in 7. But as we know, it didn't even go to 7 games. It went to 6. And the Lightning just flat outplayed the Stars. I'll tell you that now. They outplayed. The Lightning shut down the second line of the Stars. That was like the biggest. That was probably the main reason why the Lightning won. I will say the goalie was outstanding in the series. Flat out outstanding. The Stars goalie in the first game got replaced by a rookie. A rookie.
Yep.
It was.
I don't know. I expected to go 7. I'll admit that. Like I expected to go 7, and it didn't even take that. But I was again surprised, just as surprised as everyone else, that it didn't go 7. I'll take it though. Like I'll take the fact that they won it in 6, and I called it before the playoffs started. By the way, I said that they were gonna win it. So yeah. I just want everyone to know that. Like it's not like I did this as soon as the playoffs started. I looked at teams and said it was gonna win. As soon as the playoffs were rolling, I said that Tampa Bay was gonna take the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, but I will say one thing that we did have an agreement was we both had the Lightning and Stars in the finals.
Yes, we both had
that picked.
From the very first, as soon as the playoffs started, we did have that, and so good call on both of us there.
You just happened to come out on top in the Stanley Cup Finals. That was it.
Yep. I just happened to pick the better team, and really either team could have took it. I'm not taking anything away from the Dallas Stars because I'm not going to lie. Usually going into a championship game, a Super Bowl, a Stanley Cup, all of that, usually with all of that, I'm pretty confident in the team I pick that they're going to win. And I have to say that the Stanley Cup kind of scared me and I was a little bit like, oh no, the Stars are good enough to beat the Lightning. So I have to admit that.
Which in reality, honestly, I thought that the Stars were good enough. I really did. Only based upon their second line. That was it. I didn't think that the Lightning were deep enough, but they didn't even have to be deep enough. The one thing that I will say that I was a little bit shocked in, that we had said we did not think that that both teams were going to end up scoring a lot of goals. We were a little off in that one.
A little bit. There was definitely a lot more scoring than I thought there was going to be. I didn't think either team would get over 3 in either. I didn't think in any game either team would score over 3 goals. So yeah, that was a little off, but I think that in the end, it came out the way it did, and congratulations to the Lightning. You're NHL 2020 champions.
For the second time in their franchise.
Yep.
By the way it looks this year, I'll tell you, I don't think the Lightning and Stars are going anywhere anytime soon.
Nope.
They're not going anywhere anytime soon.
I think the only team in the East that can compete with the Stars is the the Boston Bruins. I think are the only team in the East that can compete with the Lightning, and in the West, really the only team that I think can go stride for stride with the Stars and possibly get in over them would be the Colorado Avalanche. So,
well, we did see a very good series between the Avalanche and Stars.
Yeah.
And so originally when they had played, it was like one of those things that it's like, okay, whoever wins that is going to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And can I just say that I'm glad we're talking about hockey and look like, being honest, like basketball is what it is, but I'm kind of tired of talking about it. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, so let me throw this little thing out at you. This was kind of interesting. And I know I'm going to say Michael Jordan, so people will be thinking I'm talking about basketball. But I am not. Even though I'm talking about Michael Jordan.
Oh, you're going to bring up the NASCAR thing.
Did anybody happen to see that Michael Jordan is going to own a NASCAR team? And I'm like, man, what in the world? When did this come up? Michael Jordan buying a NASCAR team?
Yep. The guy is such a competitor. He has that competitive drive for everything. And that this happened sitting, he's on the golf course, right?
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Come on.
Yeah.
But let's paint this picture together. He's on the golf course. He's out there and he's golfing with his buddies, probably like Bill Murray and Larry Bird, all these guys from Scottie Pippen. They're out there and they're like, Michael, you beat us at everything, but I guarantee you'd never be able to be a winner as a NASCAR team owner. And Michael,
he decided to do it.
Took a stoke of that cigar, drank that drink back, and was like, "Yeah, get ready."
Mm-hmm. The guy is an ultra competitor, man. Like the guy's willing to try anything and everything. Look at his history: basketball, baseball. He loves golf. Now he's going to be a owner in NASCAR. It honestly surprises me that he hasn't decided to buy an NFL team yet. Like honestly, that'll be his next stop.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, so
I mean, why not? When he got Pat Mahomes, who's still playing and is owner of the Kansas City Royals. I mean, that's where we're gonna go next.
Well, right.
Let me. I'm sorry, I'm going a little off topic, but let me ask your opinion here for a minute. I had someone bring something to me, and they admitted they're not an avid sports person, but they kind of pay attention, And they said, why has no player yet said to an owner, and I forget how they presented it, but basically like, let's do a domestic partnership and then you don't have to pay me, but I basically make a percentage of what the team makes, and I still play on the team, and no one knows about it. But then they could sign all of these other superstars and have this one person on their team. I thought that was a little far fetched. I got to admit that. However,
It really is, because here's the thing on that. I don't think they will ever allow a player owner.
I don't think you can.
I really don't think that they would ever allow that to happen. I don't think it matters the sport. I don't think they will.
Yeah.
But how you mentioned about Patrick Mahomes being part owner of the Royals, you also have Aaron Rodgers who's part owner of the Bucks. So it is kind of going in that direction, to where when these athletes are starting to make all this massive amount of money, now you're seeing that they're starting to buy into franchises in different leagues, whether it be baseball, basketball, hockey. Now you're even seeing it in NASCAR.
Right. And I know we're going to baseball next, so that was a great segue into that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me ask you about baseball. That's all changing also. So, you know how it used to be like these billionaire guys that would come in and say, oh, I'll offer you this much money for your team. Now you're seeing former players, and A-Rod comes to mind because of their whole thing with the Mets.
Jeter
and Jeter with the Marlins. These guys are coming out and they're getting all their friends and they're like, hey, let's buy this team. Let's have an investment. Let's have an investment party. Let's go buy this team and let's run this team together. And I'm sorry, but that's brilliant, because
you're
taking this money that you earned off endorsements or your playing thing or whatever, and you're going to turn that into what, 10 times what you made?
Well, yeah.
And who knows the game better than you if you've already played?
Yeah, and I completely agree with you on that. That's a genius move, because a lot of times you see guys like Shad Khan or Ted Turner who go buy a franchise on their own. But if you can get multiple guys to invest in a franchise, I think that's brilliant. I think it's genius.
Yeah.
All
hey,
right,
we come into money. We should buy a franchise.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll be the very first owners of Green Bay. Okay.
Right.
All right. So making a segue into the MLB playoffs.
Yeah.
So as we saw the last couple days, that there was actually some really good games. So the first ones that we'll start with is the Tampa Bay Rays versus the Toronto Blue Jays. You had Toronto making it past the first round.
I did.
Yes, you did. But that was before you knew that they were playing Tampa Bay, because that's when it came down to, you said that Toronto was going to make it past the first round, but you also had Tampa Bay pegged as the AL champions to represent the AL and the World Series. So Then when you found out that the Blue Jays were playing the Rays, it's kind of like one of the, okay, what's going to happen? Who's going? When I saw this, I'm like, okay, I liked what the Blue Jays were doing. They're a young team. They're an up and coming team. They're going to only get better. But I think the Rays were just a little too good. And as we saw, they beat them in back-to-back games to advance to the next round. And they're going to be playing either the Cleveland Indians or the New York Yankees. So the Rays are waiting for one of them. So what did you take away from this Tampa Bay and Toronto series?
I took away that Toronto they just need some more experience, and another year under the belt. And a lot of people will tell you, if you go in and you play one game or two games in the playoffs, that doesn't help for experience, but it does. It does. It really does, because you at least got that atmosphere of what it's like to play in a playoff series.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something to build on for next year. I mean, the thing I saw in this Blue Jays team is I saw all these second generation players of their dads used to play in the big leagues. You got Vlad Jr. and you got Bo Bichette,
and Biggio.
And Biggio. I knew there was another one I was forgetting, but yeah, and Biggio. And you got all these guys where their dads played and their dad had all these experience. And it's these guys that they don't want to live off their dad's names. They're not looking to do that anymore. Did they do it when they were in youth sports? I'm sure they did, and that's how they got. But now they want to build their own dynasty. They want to build all of this. So you keep that young core together, and they're going to compete. They'll probably compete with the Yankees for second place next year because I don't think the Rays are going anywhere. The Rays are a young
Definitely not.
team, but they're a good team, and they're not going anywhere. They're going to run. They're going to run through the division next year too. So,
And I completely agree with you on the Toronto take. Toronto is going to only get better and better and better and better, and that is because they are a young team. And this Tampa Bay team, they're not going anywhere. They looked really good. So,
yeah.
as we saw in the first round, Tampa Bay is going to move on. They're either meeting the Yankees or the Indians, which we'll get into that series in a little bit. Okay, so thinking about this really quick, touching on the Tampa Bay Rays, can Tampa Bay beat the Yankees or the Indians?
Both.
Both. Okay,
They could beat either team.
So you have them winning.
Yes.
No matter what team they play, you have them there.
Yeah. I'm not that kind of guy that's going to sit there and tell you that I changed my mind off of one series. No. I have no concerns at all. I'm confident in the Rays pick.
All right. So moving on to the next series, we'll talk about our Atlanta Braves. This game at first, it scared me. It's like we were talking about before we actually started tonight. It scared me because when Max Fried, your ace, allows 2 hits in the first inning, and you have runners on second, and you have runners on second, third with 0 outs.
Oh, there was
worried.
one out.
Correct. 1 out because he did get 1 out, but still second and third with 1 out, and you're like, crap. This is going to happen again. Every single year this happens. Max Fried got out of a jam. And then who came out for Cincinnati? Trevor Bauer. And I'll tell you what, Trevor Bauer looked like the Cy Young Award winner tonight. I'm not going to lie. I said Max Fried was going to be the guy. I've been saying it all year. But from what I saw tonight from Trevor Bauer, how can you not give it to Trevor Bauer?
I don't know. I mean, they're 1-2. I don't think there's anyone else in the NL that you're going to say is going to get any number 1 Cy Young votes. You watched that game where they both pitched into the 8th inning, giving up no runs. How can you say there's any better 2 pitchers in the NL than those 2 right now?
And I completely agree with you because if you look at Max Fried finished the season at 7-0 with a 2.25 ERA. But then you look at Trevor Bauer, and the thing that he has going for him is he has a very low ERA. So that's what he's got going for him. But Max Fried has that 7-0. So that's where he's got going for him. And then the other thing that Max Fried has going for him is he allowed 2 home runs all season, and it happened to be in his final start after he rolled his ankle. So
true. But let me also just real quick one more stat to throw out there. I don't want to bore people with a bunch of stats, but one of the major differences between the 2 is that Max Fried started 11 games. In those 11 games, Atlanta was 10-1 in those games. Trevor Bauer started 12 games this year, and in those 12 games, Cincinnati was 7-5.
Yeah, and and here's the thing on that. I don't want to take anything away from Max Fried. I don't want to. But there is a little bit of a difference. For the longest time this season, Atlanta's lineup, like you did not want to pitch to any of them. Then for a while for Cincinnati, they were starting out a little slow. I believe that they were like 20-28, and then they went on like a 10-2 run.
Oh, so, they went 4. Let's see. So
I think they went like 10-2 in their last like 12 games or something like that. So their lineup wasn't hitting until later in the season. So it's kind of hard to say at that point how many more games they would have won had their lineup been playing better. So I don't want to take anything away from Trevor Bauer. I don't want to take anything away from Max Fried, but I am an Atlanta fan, but I don't want to be a homer. So if I had to pick a Cy Young Award winner right now, I would have to say it would be Trevor Bauer. The one nasty stat that I want to point out in this game, not only on the Atlanta side, but on the Cincinnati side, there's 37 strikeouts between both teams in this game. That is disgusting. 37 strikeouts. But you're going to see that when you have both your aces on the mound.
Oh yeah,
That's something
no
you're
doubt.
definitely going to see. But
You're not gonna you won't see that again in this series for sure.
no, because tomorrow you have Ian Anderson going up against Castillo for the Reds. So Ian Anderson's not really that strikeout guy. The only thing that's going to hurt today, both teams, is that they had to go so deep into their bullpen because the game went 13 innings. And that actually made MLB history that was the longest postseason game ever without scoring a run through 12 innings. Like, that was crazy.
And I'll say this. If Freddie Freeman does not win the NL MVP,
Something's wrong. It's rigged.
there's something completely wrong with that.
Now,
The MV free, as you will, thank you, had the game-winning hit.
yes, now, coming back to Freeman, my question on that is, did the Reds do the right thing? When you have runners on second and third, and Freeman is up to bat, and you know there's 2 outs, and Ozuna is batting behind him, and I know Ozuna has had an incredible year too, but you probably know that Freddie Freeman is going to be the MVP. Did the Reds do the right thing by pitching to Freeman, or do you be like, you know what, I'm going to walk Freeman, I'm going to take my chances with Ozuna?
I don't know. I don't. I have no idea. I have no idea. I really don't, because if you don't pitch to Freeman, you go to Ozuna. I mean,
He's
let's face
liable
it.
to hit the ball out of the stadium. So
Yeah, I mean, Ozuna he had a way better season than I ever expected. I never expected Marcell Ozuna to do that in Atlanta this year. So I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, because they won 1-0. When you pitching to Freeman, they lost 1-0 pitching to Freeman. You walk Freeman, they're probably going to win 4-0 because Ozuna is likely to hit it out.
here's the thing, though, right? So if you're Cincinnati Reds team and you lose in the 13th inning because you gave up the walk-off hit to Freddie Freeman, at least you're saying, well, at least the walk-off hit was to Freddie Freeman. It wasn't somebody like Ender. You know?
I mean, it's true. You know what? I will say, mad respect, though. Mad respect to the Reds, because you stood in there and you said, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us with your best player.
And they did.
You're not going to beat us with some scrub coming off the bench, playing second base, pinch hitting in the 13th inning because you don't got anyone else left. We're going to pitch to your best player, and he's going to beat us. And when you did, that's called a cap tipper. You tipped your cap, and you said, you know what? You got us. You beat us.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, boy. All right. So the next series we have the Oakland Athletics versus the Chicago White Sox. This series is 1-1. The White Sox, in the first game, they came out and put a hurting on the Athletics. The Athletics were able to bounce back today. The biggest thing about this series to me was that after game 1, I didn't think that the Athletics were going to have enough to beat the White Sox, because we know this White Sox team, they have power virtually up and down this lineup. Like, that's what this White Sox team is known for. But the Athletics were able to come back today and tie the series. I had the Tampa Bay Rays versus Athletics in the American League Championship Series. This still concerns me a little bit. I don't know if Oakland can get past this White Sox team, but I'm still not going to jump ship I'm still not doing it. I'll still go with Oakland. But they're going to have a tough road. It's going to be tough.
I think that the one team that the Athletics didn't want to play in this round was the White Sox.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yep. Again, I picked the A's. I think I had the A's in the ALCS too, but I'll stay with the pick. But it's going to be tough.
I think the biggest thing that hurt the A's going into this series was when they lost Matt Chapman. That was their biggest loss because that was their other power guy. Now they're lacking the power that they need. Now they're going to have to rely on basically just getting on base, bunting guys over, which is another thing to actually bring up. It seems like nowadays in the MLB, a lot of these teams don't do the old fashioned, hey, we're getting a base hit now. Okay, now how about we bunt the guy over to put him in that scoring position now? That's something that we don't see very much anymore.
Yeah, we don't see that. We don't see sac flies as much. You still see them, but not as much as you used to. You don't see the hit and run very much anymore. You also don't see stolen bases. That used to be a big thing. Being able to hit a single and steal a base. We did see it in the Atlanta game with Ozzy Albies today. It turned out to be nothing, but he did get on first base and end up at second, which effectively makes it a double. Yeah, and baseball purists are going to tell you that. I will tell you, though, I try to stay out of arguments on Facebook, and even in real life, I'm not really an argumentative person. I'm very opinionated, and I'll tell you what I think. But I don't argue an opinion. I argue in fact. I had a guy try to tell me that it was harder to dunk a basketball than it is to hit a home run.
Home run where, though? Like, that's the question. You're talking about a major league home run? Are we talking about minor league? What exactly are we talking about? And what ballpark? Like, that's
we're talking pro. We're talking pro first. And let me explain. Am I saying that it's easy to go dunk a basketball? No. That's not what I'm saying. But I am telling you, you're standing at the plate getting a pitch thrown at you at 100 miles an hour.
It's going to be hard. Yeah, no doubt.
It's going to be tough. And think about this, 35 guys, it could be 38 now. Didn't check the numbers on that. In the history of Major League Baseball have hit 500 career home runs.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you how tough it is to do. Also, if you hit successfully 3 out of 10 times in baseball, 3 out of 10, you're considered a good hitter because that's a 300 average.
Yeah.
How many guys in the NBA do you think would still be playing on the court if they hit 3 out of 10 shots?
Not very many, because baseball is more about failing than it is actually coming through. But so going back to the Athletics and White Sox for a second, that's how the Athletics are going to have to beat this White Sox team.
Yeah,
they're going to have to beat them by small ball. That's the way that they're going to have to beat them. I still have Oakland winning it. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be close. Okay. So the next one we have is the Marlins versus the Cubs. And we talked about this one a little bit before we came on tonight too, because we talked about how we were both Atlanta Braves fans. And that if there was any team that we'd rather play, it would be the Marlins at this point, because we know that we can beat them. We've already done it. This Cubs team is a little scary, but it actually shocked me today with how well the Marlins actually came out and played against them. I thought that the Cubs were going to come out and put a hurting on the Marlins, honestly.
Yeah,
but
I think so too.
This Marlins team is young, they're hungry, and they have nothing to lose. They have nothing to lose whatsoever.
True story. But I'd much rather still play the Marlins than the Cubs.
Yeah, so do you see the series going 3, or do you think that the Marlins are going to win game 2 and just call it good?
Nah, it'll go 3. It'll go 3. And real quick, the reason I want to play the Marlins versus the Cubs, I really don't want to face the Cubs pitching.
No, they
That's
have
that's
elite pitching.
that's my concern.
But that
I
was my concern against the Reds too. They have elite pitching with Trevor Bauer and Sonny Gray. They're 1-2 punch, and you can throw in Castillo also. So it's
we
like
can hit Castillo,
a 1, 2,
but we
3.
can hit Castillo.
You can't. But it's Trevor Bauer and Sonny Gray are my most concerning aspects. And we saw it today with Trevor Bauer.
Absolutely.
When it comes to the Chicago Cubs, they have that great pitching too with Hendricks and
They have
and
Yu
then-
Darvish.
and Yu Darvish. Absolutely. And Quintana, they have him too. So yes, their pitching is a little scary. So I will take the Marlins. And a surprise upset, I will take the Marlins.
All right.
Okay. The Cardinals versus the Padres. And let me point out some about this series. I have no clue how they do it. How does this Cardinals team manage to do this every freaking year? This is insane. I don't even get it. And they win with guys that you're like, who? Who are these guys? Who the heck are these guys? Nobody, and I mean nobody, even expected them to win one game against the Padres, and they did it. Now, I understand that the Padres don't have Clevenger because he's out right now, but still, nobody expected the Cardinals to come out and beat the Padres.
No, I don't know. I think it's something in the water. I don't know. Maybe they're adding a little bit of that Anheuser-Busch into the water there in St. Louis. I don't know.
Well, I will tell you one thing that this Cardinals team has. They have experience, and I think that's why they succeed when they get in the postseason, because they seem to be there almost every single year with no matter who they have, and so it's that experience, and then they use it, and they know how to win in the postseason. And the Cardinals, they make me mad. That's one team that I'm like, I don't want to face them every year in the playoffs because they managed to win.
Yep, absolutely.
So if you had to pick a winner in this series right now, would you still say it's going to be the Padres, even after game one? You know what? I will still take the Padres because I think the Cardinals got in there one game, but I think the Padres are going to win the next two.
I take the Padres only because I think that they have what it takes to win 2 in a row, and I don't know that St. Louis does. But you go to game 3, it's a toss-up. Who knows? But I think that I think the Padres can take it still.
I don't want to say it'll be a toss-up in game 3. If the Cardinals want to beat the Padres, they're going to have to beat them in game 2 and in the series right there. I don't think they want to go 3.
I don't think so either.
All right. So then the last 2 games, because there was a few of them that were still going on, and so that other one that was still going on, last I looked, it originally was 9-8, and the Indians were winning. And so we knew that the Yankees were up 1-0 in that series. But right now, the Yankees actually came back and took the lead. So it's in the bottom of the 9th, and the Yankees are now winning 10-9 in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs.
Gosh darn Yankees.
And this was my concern. So you saw the Yankees put up a ton of runs yesterday. They come back, they put up a ton of runs tonight. The problem with the Yankees right now is that, oh man, it's like the Bronx Bombers all over again. They're just so they're so deep. They have so many power hitters on their team. It's crazy. You have a Stanton, you have a Judge, you have a Sanchez, you have a Torres, you have a LeMahieu. I mean, it just keeps going and going and going and going and going. And right when you think you're going to beat them, they just come right back. And oh yeah, and let's not forget about their MVP and Luke Voit. I'll tell you that, because that guy this year flat out killed it. He nailed it. And that's what concerns me about this Yankees team, with how much firepower they have. It doesn't matter how bad their pitching is, because Garrett Cole, yeah, I know he's their best pitcher, but he's had a home run problem. but this Yankees team is still pretty scary.
No doubt.
So
They're I mean, they could come out any inning and put up a crooked number in an inning. That's not even a question. It's not even really debatable.
and so right now I really can't say. I would say that the Indians were going to win the series, but there's 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th, and the Indians have nobody on. So let's just say that series is in the bag, and the Yankees are going to move on. So now you're going to see the Rays versus the Yankees, and that series might actually be a good series because the Rays can beat the Yankees.
Yep, I think so. And it's the ALDS, so they're playing 5 games. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's it's going to be best of 5. So you have to win 3 instead of 2. That kind of for strategy,
Yeah, the only thing that kind of hurts though is that they're not playing like technical home games because you know
True.
how they have created that bubble now, so you're not actually getting that home field advantage. If you're an American League team, you have to go play in an NL ballpark, which I do believe that they're supposed to be playing in San Diego, if I remember right.
Yes.
So
yeah, they're playing in San Diego, and the NL is playing in Arlington.
It's in Arlington and Houston. They're also playing in Houston too.
Yep,
So there's actually 2 ballparks that they have going, and I know that they're playing in San Diego, and I think there's one other place.
Arizona.
Playing. Is it Arizona? Okay, yeah. It's Arizona, which is going to kill a lot of teams because they have that huge slope. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
So, all right. So that was the series. We know that we have the Yankees in that one because, like we said, it's 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. It's virtually over. So the last series that we're going to talk about tonight is the LA Dodgers and the Milwaukee Brewers. There's really not much to talk about in the series because the Brewers are going to lose in 2. It's pretty much over.
Yep.
Right now, it's in the bottom of the 8th, and the Dodgers are up 4-2. So, I mean,
I'm actually surprised they've held them to 4.
Right, right. But they were able to do that, and so before the series had started, there was a lot of talking about. So, for instance, if the Brewers came out and happened to beat the Dodgers, you know how much stuff this would cause, that the Dodgers would be like, well, I think it was stupid that you added in that extra team. You know that you would hear it. You would.
Yeah, it's the same as Lakers fans when you point out that someone, well, half the team had injuries, and they're like, yeah, well, duh. That's Lakers fans, that's Cowboys fans, and that's Dodgers fans. Right there is the 3 worst fan bases in America.
Yeah, so I actually, and once we get to football, I will talk about that a little bit more. So now moving on from that, because we both have the Dodgers to beat the Brewers in 2, it's going to be a clean sweep. We got it. So moving on away from that, now we'll talk about our top 5 best center fielders in baseball today, as of right now. So, you want me to go first, or you got it?
I can go first. That's cool. I can take that. So 5 best. I'll explain it when I get there. But 2 and 3 for me is a little iffy, and I'll explain more. But so I have Bellinger at 5, and I have Springer at 4. Like I said, 3 and 2 is iffy. So I can explain. I have Happ at 3 and Acuna at 2. And the only reason I say Acuna might be 3 is because he's actually a right fielder by trade playing center field.
Yeah, and so before I go into my list, I will tell you that's why I did not have Acuna in my top 5 for center fielders because he's not classified as a center fielder. So
Right.
I did not put him
I
in
mean,
this list.
he's playing there. That's why I put him there.
And technically, if you look at Acuna and in the position he plays, they actually have him listed as a left fielder. So that's why I did not put him as a center fielder because, yes, he plays there, but he kind of rotates. They kind of have Acuna play everywhere in the outfield. So I could not put him in the top 5 list.
And number 1's Trout. I don't think that was any mystery as who number 1 was going to be.
So there was a few people that I had the same as you. I just had them in a different order. And I'm actually shocked that you had Bellinger at number 5. That actually shocked me that you did. Because my number 5, and a lot of people might actually be shocked about this, and it's because he plays on the worst team in baseball, and his name is Sterling Marte, the center fielder for the Pirates. Hey. Awesome center fielder, but nobody would know it because he plays on the Pittsburgh Pirates. So it's not one of those things that people would be like, oh yeah, Sterling Marte, he's one of the best. No, it's the guy's completely underrated, and nobody really knows about him because he plays on the Pirates.
Well, if you remember a few years ago, before they were good again, the Twins, when they were bad for a long time, they had a center fielder named Torrey Hunter, who was probably still one of the top 10 most underrated players of all time, in my opinion, at least outfielders. Mm-hmm. And that it was the same thing for him. Like, he was one of the best center fielders in the game, but no one knew who he was because he played for the Twins.
You know what? And that actually brings up an interesting point. I think in our next show, next Wednesday, you know what I think our viewers would really like? I think our viewers would like it if we did a top 5 most underrated baseball players of all time. I think that would be a brilliant one. I think people would like to hear that. Okay, so the number 4 in my list also is kind of somebody that people probably wouldn't think of because, yet again, he plays on one of those crappy teams that everyone's like, who is this? And his name is Whit Merrifield.
Gotta say, and both I'm not upset with either of those picks because they were right there. I mean, they were right there, right at the cusp of top 5.
Yeah, and the thing is Whit Merrifield is technically I classify him as probably the best player that the Royals have, technically, because he's been their most consistent hitter besides Lorenzo Cain. Because Lorenzo Cain has been there for forever. And when he's healthy, he's good. But I just feel like Merrifield is probably their most consistent guy that they have. And he's an awesome center fielder. He does not make errors.
Right.
All right. My number 3 is now when we're starting to get to a few guys that you had mentioned before. My number 3 is actually George Springer. That is my number 3. It was hard. I wanted to put Whit Merrifield in front of George Springer, but I just could not quite do it. But I got George Springer at 3, and then my number 2, I was actually surprised you put this guy at number 5, which was Cody Bellinger. And
I think the only reason I put him at 5, and not to take anything away from him, but I think the only reason I put him at 5 is because he plays on such a saturated team.
I mean, he plays on a team that is stacked.
That's my point.
No,
like,
I get it.
You hear all about him. He's not the best player on the team. He's probably the 4th best player on the team.
But when you're looking at center field wise, he makes plays. He does make plays out there. He does not make a lot of errors.
No, he doesn't.
And he'll be a Gold Glove. And so,
yeah, that's why I had to keep him in the top 5. So, you know.
And then number 1, we are on the same page with this, and you know where I'm going. The number 1 center fielder in baseball, and it has been for a long time and will continue to be for years, is undoubtedly Mike Trout.
Hey, Mike, if you're listening, man, look, dude, you have an unworldly talent, probably the best talent, and I'm fixing to be 36 here soon, and I will tell you that you are probably the best center fielder right up there, top 3 that I've ever seen in my lifetime. Okay. Yeah. Can you please can you please get out of LA? I don't know what you need to do. I don't know if they need to sell the farm or trade the farm away for someone to get you. Can you get out of LA? Take your talent somewhere for a team that appreciates you and you can win a championship with, because they're going nowhere fast.
And I want to see if you agree with two people that I would put in front of Mike Trout. But number one would be Willie Mays.
Hands down.
Willie Mays is in front of Mike Trout because Willie Mays is probably, arguably, I would say arguably the best center fielder of all time. And then number two, I don't want to sound like a homer about this, but Andrew Jones. The guy had like 11 gold gloves. It is hard to not put him in the top 3 all time of center fielders.
I will say full if we're talking complete game, offense and defense, I think Trout is still slightly above Andrew Jones.
On the offensive side, yes.
If we're talking strictly defensive side,
Andrew Jones,
no doubt. So,
because have you ever seen a center fielder on the defensive side play as well as Andrew Jones has?
No, I've never seen a guy willing to give up his body so much. That's what I could say. He was in every play. There was not a ball he couldn't track down. So that's what I'll say is that, that's something. That's something to
People never wanted to hit the ball to Andrew Jones because it's like he would never give up on a play. He would track it down. Somehow he would track it down. So Mike Trout, definitely top 3 center fielder ever to play the game of baseball.
Get out of LA. Again, if you're listening, please ask for a trade.
I agree with you. And please, LA, if you're going to trade Mike Trout, do not trade him to a team like the Pirates or a team like the Rangers or somebody that's going to waste his talent. Also, trade him to a good team that he has a chance at winning a ring. The dude deserves a ring.
Hypothetical situation. What if Mike Trout goes to the A's? Are they an automatic contender for a World Series title?
Well, being with the current roster the A's have right now, they're already a contender, but they're still missing that one piece. But if you put a Mike Trout on this team, absolutely, man. Because especially if they play a full season, Mike Trout can be good anywhere from 30 to 40 bombs every year and over 100 ribbies every year. And the guy bats generally around a 300 every year. So adding that to that A's team, absolutely, that can put them over the top and make them a strong contender to beat pretty much anybody there is.
Absolutely.
All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is we are going to jump into the top 5 golfers that we have of all time. So since you went first on the top 5 for center fielders, I'll go ahead and go with my top 5 on golfers first. So I'll go ahead and I'll start with my number 5. And my number 5, it might surprise you a little bit, but it was only because he was one of my favorite golfers ever, and his name is Arnold Palmer. I have him at number 5. He has 7 majors and 4 masters. Not typical, like, wow, gaudy numbers, but the guy was a completely underrated golfer.
Yep.
And plus he invented one of my favorite drinks, that we call it the Arnold Palmer half lemonade, half iced tea. One of the greatest drinks ever.
Just like an Arnold Palmer, especially if you can spike a little vodka in there, it makes it even better.
Right. So Arnold Palmer, thank you for what you've done in the game of golf, and thank you for creating the Arnold Palmer drink. I love it, man. Thank you very much.
Yep.
And then number 4, I'm going to go with Ben Hogan. I'm going to put him up there with 63 pretty much professional tournament wins. And now keep in mind with Ben Hogan too, he also had a major car wreck and was actually severely injured and was able to come back from that car wreck and continue to play at a high level. That is not something that you can see in golf very often, because golf may seem like some people, it may seem like an easy sport, but I'll tell you what, I've been on the golf course with you a lot. You've been on the golf course with me. We know how tough it is. Like, golf is not an easy sport.
No, not at all. It's not.
So I give
It's a
him
great
credit.
sport to play when you're mad.
Absolutely. It's fun, it's relaxing, and I give Ben Hogan credit for being able to come back from a serious injury and continue to play.
Yep.
All right. So my number 3 golfer of all time was Walter Hagen. And so Walter Hagen had 11 major championships. And actually, something that a lot of people don't know about Walter Hagen was that Walter Hagen actually brought, he was actually the one who won the first British title and actually brought the first British title to America. So Walter Hagen was my number 3. My number 2 and my number 1 was really, really tough. I didn't know which one to put 1. I didn't know which one to put 2 because to me they were pretty close. So my number 2, Jack Nicklaus, was my number 2 golfer of all time. 73 career victories, 18 major championships. You don't get too much better than that, except for my number 1 on the all-time list. And you're going to hate me for this because you know where I'm going with it. And I know how you feel about the guy, but I'm sorry. I cannot get past what he's done on the golf course. I don't care about his personal life. I could care less about that. What he's done on the golf course was phenomenal. He changed the game of golf, and that was Tiger Woods. He's my number 1. He is the number 1 golfer of all time. Sorry. I had to go with Woods. The one thing, the one interesting fact that I must say about Tiger Woods, that a lot of people might think that most of his money he made was by golf, but it wasn't. Most of the money he actually made was basically by all the advertisements he's done
Endorsements. Yep.
and oh yeah, definitely endorsements. The biggest thing was that Buick paid Tiger Woods $7 million to write Buick on his golf bag.
I know, it was insane.
The dude has made so much money on endorsements because of who he is.
Mm-hmm. The Michael Jordan of golf, if you will.
Yeah, so that was my top 5 list. And now keep in mind, too, that Tiger Woods did have 77 career victories. 77. So Jack Nicklaus was only 4 behind Tiger. So that was another reason why I put Tiger Woods at number 1.
All right. My list is a little different than yours. I have most of the same people in there. I will say that I shaded a little bit towards what they did for the game more than how many majors or championships they won. So it's going to sound a little different. But our number 5 was exactly the same. Arnold Palmer. I can't take away what the guy did for the game of golf. My number 4 is actually Jack Nicklaus, and
Ooh.
I think it's only because he played in a time when golf wasn't as popular, and so he won all of those. He has all the accolades, but he could have been anywhere in the top 5. I'm not gonna lie, like it's pretty stacked. And you can't leave him out of the top 5. So
no, and I want to agree with you on that. But Jack Nicklaus, it was hard to not put him at number 2 because it's like you said, when he played, golfing wasn't big at the time. So how can you not put a guy at number 2 when golf wasn't big at the time and he made it big because of who he was?
that's understandable. Number 3, you're going to disagree. It's fine. We're going to disagree on this one. It's okay. Phil Mickelson. Lefty, did wonders for left-handed golfers. Just how I feel. Mickelson. Number 2 is a contemporary, and a lot of people don't agree that I probably have him in my top 5. But the skill set that he has, and I think he could go toe-to-toe with any golfer, past or present, future. Rory McIlroy.
McIlroy, yeah.
Yep, I think he's number 2. And you said I wouldn't believe who you put at number 1. Well, you won't believe who I put at number 1. You really won't. because you're right.
Tiger Woods.
Never been a big fan, but I do have Tiger Woods as number one. And it's because of what he did for the game of golf. He made golf cool when golf wasn't cool.
Mhm.
Period. And you can't take that away from him, no matter what he's done, no matter how far he fell off for a long time. The guy made golfing cool.
His personal life has nothing to do with what he's done on the golf course.
Exactly.
And he's revolutionized the golf game. It's been
you're talking about golf. Everyone's like, oh, golf's for old guys. And then the number 4 selling video game of 2001 was Tiger Woods Golf.
And that was when he was at his high point, like when Tiger Woods was huge.
Think about that for a minute. He went from golf is for old guys to the 4th best selling video game of an entire year.
And that's how big, right?
That's how big Tiger Woods was.
And right now, I'm not seeing anybody currently right now that's going to overtake Tiger anytime soon.
No.
With anybody I see playing right now. So I'm sorry, but Tiger Woods is going to be the GOAT for a while in golf.
Yep.
All right. So our next topic that we were going to talk about was actually our biggest surprise quarterback through week 3. And we might actually both agree on this one, but I actually had to go with Josh Allen from Buffalo. Josh Allen has been absolutely, like, the dude's been balling. I did not expect him to play this good, but I think a big reason he's played good is because they actually went out and got a Stephon Diggs. So that really helped his passing game a lot. Before, he didn't really have a lot to throw to, but now he's got a Stephon Diggs, he's got a Cole Beasley, he's actually got a Montgomery as a running back. So his passing game's starting to open up a little bit because he's starting to get weapons now.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think there's any other quarterback you can have in that right now. I mean, you're talking about Josh Allen, who everyone at the end of last year is like, oh, I don't know if this kid can take Buffalo to, I don't know if they can win a game in the playoffs. He can get him there, but he's got a big arm. You know, he's got to control it. What's he going to do? And now everyone is saying right now, MVP race. And I heard this today on Good Morning Football.
Top 5
is top 5. Top 5 for MVP is Josh Allen. Less than a year after people are saying that he hasn't honed in his skills yet.
How could you not put him in the top? How can you not put him as the most surprised with how well he's played this season when nobody saw it coming? All the mistakes he made last year in the wild card round against the Houston Texans, he made a lot of mistakes in that game. And so I thought that was the Josh Allen that we were going to be seeing for a long time. Mm-hmm. But he has come out this year and he has proven me wrong. I know somebody who took Josh Allen as their fantasy quarterback a couple times, and I laughed at them because I said,
we both did.
Yes, and I was like, you know what? That's probably the most ridiculous pick I've seen because of the quarterbacks that were still out there when there was a Drew Brees out there, and like Drew Brees was still out there. I think Tom Brady was still out there. There was a few other quarterbacks who was still out there, and then they take a Josh Allen. And I'm like, are you kidding me? These other quarterbacks are still out there, and you're going with Josh Allen, and then he starts playing like this. I'm like, all right, well, you know, I'll tip my hat to you.
Yep, I'll eat that humble pie. And it's Josh Allen. I heard a stat this morning. If you throw out the Texans game in the playoffs, which I realize you can't overall looking at it, but if you do, you go the first 3 games of this year and the last 6 games of last year, in the last 9 games, Josh Allen has thrown for 22 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And that tells you how we've seen the progress as a quarterback, and we forgot about it because of the clunker that he had in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Everybody has clunkers, though. Everybody has clunkers.
Yep. And you know Josh Allen is out there playing right now. Like, put some respect in my name.
And you know what, Josh? Right now, I'm putting respect on your name right now because you've earned it through the first 3 weeks of the season. Please, please don't make me take back what I just said. All right, so I think that the last thing that we're going to talk about really quick, just kind of some miscellaneous cleanup stuff around the NFL. Just little stuff here and there. So what has been, I would say, the most surprising thing to you through 3 weeks? If you can think of anything that's been surprising, what has been surprising to you?
I think it was a stat I threw out to you before the show started.
Oh, with the Jets?
I apologize to all of you if you're a Jets fan right now. I thought there was no way that there could be a team that would come in and play so poorly to start a year. I thought it didn't get any worse than Miami last year in the first 3 games. And I was wrong. The Jets in the first 3 games of the season have scored 37 points. 37. By the way, by comparison, Seattle and Green Bay have both scored 37 or more in all 3 of their games. And you've scored 37 all year. Congratulations to the Jets.
So, I see a lot of power rankings to where people are talking about how the Texans are 0-3 and the Jets are 0-3, the Vikings are 0-3. And some people are actually taking the Texans and they're putting them at number 32 behind the New York Jets. And that to me is like the craziest thing ever. And they go, well, the Texans are 0-3. I'm like, yes, but one thing that the Texans can say that nobody else can, week 1, Texans played the Chiefs. Week 2, Texans played the Ravens. Week 3, Texans played the Steelers. So when you look at those records, they have played teams that are combined 8-1 on the season.
Yep.
So you tell me, who has had a tougher schedule than that to start the season?
Funny you bring that up because I actually looked it up, and you know who has the toughest schedule this year?
Who's that?
The Houston Texans.
Oh, well, yeah, you would think that just right off the first 3 games that they played, because that is like the gauntlet, like right off the bat, man.
They still have, by the way, 2 games against the 3-0 Titans. They still have 2 games against the 2-1 Colts. So right there's 4 more games against winning teams. That's going to give you 7 games of teams right now that have 1 or less losses. There can't be any other team in football that has to play that outside the NFC West, but that's another story because that's a whole division. But
and here's an interesting stat that I found out too that I was going to throw out there. So Phillip Rivers, everybody been talking about him, how okay, Phillip Rivers isn't elite and blah 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 blah, going on about it and the numbers he puts up. Yes, I will say the dude the last several seasons has been a turnover machine. But there's this guy in Indianapolis, his name is Frank Reich. The dude has resurrected Phillip Rivers. Now this is an interesting thing because if Phillip Rivers plays at a high level this year, let's say he makes the playoffs and then next year decides to be like, you know what? I think I'm going to call it quits because the Colts had signed him to a 1-year deal. So who knows what's going to happen with Phillip Rivers next year. But the interesting stat about this is looking at Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz has been on I would say a decline over the last several years since that 2017 season when he was at MVP form. And then he got hurt. The interesting thing about that is, who was helping him coach? Who was coaching him that year? Frank Reich.
I do. It's
Frank Reich. And so everyone's like, if the Eagles were to trade Carson Wentz, do you think the Colts would take a chance? I'm like, you know what? I think they would because Frank Reich had Carson Wentz going on the right path. and then he gets a Phillip Rivers, and he gets him going on the right path. So that might be a move that the Eagles might make. And that might be an interesting thing.
Yep.
Because Wentz has not been the same since Frank Wright has moved on.
Good point.
All right. So last thing that I want to talk that I'm going to mention in week 3, just really quick. My biggest surprise of week 3 was the Detroit Lions beating the Arizona Cardinals. Who saw that coming, man? Who saw that coming?
What else can you say about the Lions? You can't say anything that hasn't been said already. The Lions are the Lions. This is the only way to describe them. They come out one week and they play like they could be the Super Bowl champions and no one can touch them. Then the next week they come out and they lay an egg. There's no other team like them in the NFL. And there hasn't been. Okay, I mean, but the Falcons blow a lead every week.
Right.
I'm sorry, but how does Dan Quinn still have a job? Can anyone tell me that? Can anyone message into the show, please, and explain this to me? Can you get Arthur Blank on the phone so that I could talk to him and ask him how in the hell do you still have Dan Quinn as your coach? Tell me, please.
He's blown lead after lead after lead.
I mean, 28-3 in the Super Bowl is we've heard enough about it, and that one is by itself. But they have blown a lead every single game this year.
Yes,
every single game.
Here's the thing.
We're beating the Cowboys by 20.
I know that the Falcons want to get over that 28-3 against the Patriots because I know they're tired of hearing about it. But how are you going to stop hearing about it when you continue to blow lead after lead after lead? It's not going to go away. It's just making it worse now. Now they're looking at, okay, now they were up 28-3. They blew that lead. Then they were beating the Seahawks. They lost that game. Then they were beating the Cowboys. And they were not only beating the Cowboys by 20, but they were also beating them. It was like, I think they were beating them at one point. I think it was like 31-10 at one point, and the Cowboys managed to come back and win that game. And then last week against the
Cowboys only win, by the way,
against the Bears, Bears, and you're up by 16 in the fourth quarter, and you blow that lead from Nick Foles, who comes in and takes over for Mitch Trubisky. I don't know what to say at this point now, but like I was telling Jay McLovin the other day, because we're Packer fans now and we play them on Monday night, the Falcons are going to make us eat our words now and be like, ha, you suckers. You see, you talk crap about us and now we're going to beat you guys.
Yep. That's what usually happens.
Right. That one lead that they hold, and it's going to be against us. And I'm going to be like, you suckers.
Yep.
Right.
Deny that one.
Well, that's pretty much all I got. You got anything else?
I'll just say, you look at power rankings, and I did just real quick on this. You look at power rankings, and I have to say that outside of the top 6, which to me are Chiefs, Seahawks, Packers, Bills, Steelers, Titans, in no particular order. I didn't do them in order, just who I have in the top 6. Outside of that, there's a huge drop into the middle. And that drop goes all the way down until number 31. And there's 2 teams that don't even constitute being in the power rankings. I think you could put 2 college teams before them. That'd be the Giants and the Jets. And I don't know which one is worse, because as the Giants, how do you lose to a 49ers team that out of 22 starters on their offense and defense had 8 playing? 8. And they didn't just beat you. They beat you 36-9.
How would you like to live in New Jersey right now and have your 2 NFL teams being the Jets and Giants, and knowing that you might win a total of 3 or 4 games all year between both teams.
Yeah. And by the way, the last thing we were going to do was our Thursday night pick, and it's the
Oh yeah,
Broncos and the Jets. By the way, what terrible Thursday night games have we had this year? Just freaking awful.
awful.
Okay.
Yes.
Awful.
This is the one that, because I said right now with the way the Jets are playing that they'll probably go 1-15, and I said this is probably their one win on the season is against the Broncos, and that's only because the Broncos are banged up and they're starting a third string quarterback. So
Yeah,
with
ripping.
that being said, yes, with I think his name is Brett Rippon, and
Right.
with Brett Rippon playing as a third string quarterback, this is going to be their one win this season that they get.
His backup's going to be Blake Bortles, by the way.
Right. So
So
I don't know.
so
So if you lose to a Brett Rippon who's making his first career start and a banged up Broncos team, I'm sorry, Jets and Jets fans, I don't know what to tell you.
yeah, all I'm saying oh man, if you're the Jets, you got to win this game.
And can you, for the life of me, explain to me when we were doing picks the other day, and I was watching Freddie and them do their picks on. It was on last night. They were doing their picks, and Freddie picked his Giants to beat the Rams on Sunday.
So I got nothing.
Yeah, I got nothing either. So, all right, Freddie, I don't know what to tell you, buddy, but I'm sorry, your Giants are not beating the Rams on Sunday. They might win 1 or 2 games this season, but that's about it.
Yep.
All right, well, I got nothing else.
Nope, I think that's good. We'll be back with you guys on Saturday. So we're doing Wednesdays and Saturdays now. Friday night coming up. Tune into that. We got a brand new show debuting. We're going to try that one out on Friday. I believe they said it's going to be the Sports Corner with Logan and Big Shaw. Big Shaw couldn't be with us tonight. We want to give a shout out to him. I do believe he's going to join us on Saturday, maybe, if he can make it back.
I believe he will.
But Big Shaw, we're thinking about you, buddy. You're in our thoughts, man.
Yep, and so Saturday, guys, keep in mind too that Saturday shows is still going to be the same. It's going to be college football and NFL. So our Wednesday shows, we cover pretty much anything and everything, and Saturday is college and NFL.
Yep. So we'll see y'all on Saturday.
All right. We'll see you guys later. You have a good night.
Peace.